We all know the weight of the morning. You're pinned to the mattress, staring at the ceiling, unable to bridge the gap between waking up and actually starting your life. Society labels this condition laziness. We're told it's a character flaw, a lack of discipline, or a fundamental deficit of physical energy. Most of us treat this supposed energy deficit with physical interventions. We reach for double-shot espressos, set a half-dozen alarms, and try to force ourselves into rigid, high-pressure productivity planners. These remedies rarely hold. The lethargy returns because these physical tools are designed to solve an energy problem, but we are dealing with a crisis of meaning. Chapter 159 of this text proposes a different diagnosis. You're not lazy, you're loveless. The author argues that our lethargy has nothing to do with physical exhaustion. As the text puts it, laziness is not a lack of energy, it's a lack of understanding. Viewing laziness strictly as an energy problem ensures the actual source of the friction remains unaddressed, leaving us stuck in a cycle of failed productivity hacks. Every task we perform requires an expenditure of biological resources. To manage this, the brain operates as an efficiency engine, designed to protect those energy reserves until they are truly needed. This system runs into trouble when the returns on an action are unclear, when the brain cannot accurately calculate the emotional or practical payoff of a task. This internal scale represents the brain's cost-benefit analysis. On one side is the energy required to do the work. On the other is the reward, which in a state of laziness is often completely obscured or empty. When the rewards are this poorly defined, the brain defaults to its safest option. It preserves energy by choosing an action. In this light, laziness is a rational, protective response. It is the biological refusal to spend resources on an outcome the brain doesn't value. To shift this behavior, we don't need more energy. We need to clarify the reward side of the internal equation. The reason these rewards often remain so opaque is rooted in our self-perception. The text notes that most of us are strangers to our own psychological landscape. As the author writes, you don't know your own inner terrain. Without this map, it's impossible to predict which actions are worth the effort. The text explains, so you don't know what kind of work will bring you joy, what kind of action will yield real dividends. There is a massive gap between the ambrosia of meaningful action and the shallow comfort of lying in bed. Laziness persists because we haven't tasted the alternative. Sloth serves as a default safety net for a mind that hasn't yet identified what makes the effort of being fully alive actually worth it. Tipping the internal scale requires a drive strong enough to rewrite the brain's baseline calculation. The author identifies two specific forces that can provide this drive: a heart on fire or a life worth fearing to waste. The first of these forces is the right kind of fear. This fear is rooted in mortality, the specific dread of realizing we only have one life and are spending it on something mediocre. When the cost of doing nothing becomes more terrifying than the effort of doing something, the brain's scale finally tips toward action. The second force is the right kind of love. This is the burning heart, a passionate devotion to something higher or more beautiful than ourselves. This level of purpose makes sitting still physically difficult. The attraction of the goal outweighs any biological impulse to conserve energy. The text suggests that the problem of laziness doesn't need to be micromanaged. As it concludes, the courageous mind doesn't solve the problem, it solves itself. Rather than treating the symptoms with life hacks, we can address the cause by exploring our inner terrain. Action becomes the rational default once you locate a fire or a fear that justifies the energy required to move.